What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of exciting news to go over here this week. Also some sad news towards the end as well that I'll be toasting to. But before I get into all the news here this week, I first want to mention I'll be doing my usual weekly live stream here at 9 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday, this Sunday evening. And so join if you can. It's always a great time just hanging out, talking cars with all of you. And we always have a blast in those live streams. So join if you can. But anyway, getting into the news here this week, lots of interesting teasers here for the first few stories as the Japan Mobility Show is coming up. It used to be the Tokyo Auto Show. They've renamed it for some reason. And so some interesting teasers here. The actual show's happening in a couple of weeks, so we'll get all the full reveals then. But for now, we have a bunch of teasers. And the first one here, and probably the biggest surprise that I don't think anyone was expecting, was Subaru teased what almost looks like a modern version of the XT6 or the SVX, for those that know their Subaru history. So this is called the Subaru Sport Mobility Concept. And so far, Subaru says it expresses the enjoyment that Subaru offers in the age of electrification, embodying the pleasure of going anywhere, anytime, and driving at will in every day to extraordinary environments. Driving with peace of mind allows us to embark on exciting new adventures. This is a battery electric vehicle concept that evokes the evolution of the Subaru sport values. So, you know, this could go any number of ways. I mean, Subaru likes to build concepts that they don't actually produce. So, I mean, it could totally be something like that. It could lead to a production version. Maybe this is hinting at a next generation electric BRZ. Or this could be an addition to the lineup. Maybe they're going to do another sports car and have the BRZ just be their like thing with Toyota and just go along with whatever Toyota wants to do. And then kind of forge their own path with an electric thing maybe. I don't know. I mean, because this seems very much like a Subaru flavored thing as far as, you know, it almost looks like it has a glass greenhouse there just like the SVX basically. You know, obviously that could be just a concept-y thing. But anyway, it looks really cool. I think it really does kind of harken back to this with the styling too in the front there with the very, you know, wedge shape to the front end there and slim lights and all that. I'm actually, you know, cautiously optimistic. Obviously it's just a concept, but if they're planning to do some type of resurrection of the SVX or XT6 in an electric form, I wouldn't be mad about it, especially if it finally gives everyone all-wheel drive like they've been wanting out of a Subaru Sports Coupe. That would be nice as well. Obviously, it'll be big and heavy and expensive, but, you know, I'm kind of excited if that does actually lead to something. So, be interested to see what that all looks like here in a couple of weeks. Mazda has their own exciting teaser here this week, and so we just see the taillight area there, and it's very shadowy again, but those taillights are definitely Miata inspired, and so that suggests this obviously could be previewing the next generation Miata potentially. And if this teaser image looks familiar to you, the back end looks identical to what was last year revealed in just in a digital form that was called the Vision Study Model. It was shown 11 months ago, and you know, a lot of people were saying, well, this could be potentially, you know, a new Miata, even though it looks a little long and big for a Miata, but you know, could be, you know, a new Miata. Maybe they will finally make it a little bit bigger. We'll see. You know, and so we'll just have to see what this concept ends up being, you know, as far as if it's actually just that vision vehicle that's brought to life with a physical vehicle being built, or if this evolves it a little bit, or if we have some more info on it, you know, along with this car, you know, in a couple of weeks. We'll have to wait and see. But I wouldn't expect anything anytime soon because the 2024 refresh just got debuted last week and will be at the show, debuting formally, physically there. So, I mean, I don't know if they're calling that ND3, but I mean, it's a, you know, a decent amount of changes that I don't think we should expect the new Miata for at least another 3 years, maybe more. So don't get too excited about this, but, you know, it could be a promising design direction if nothing else, and interesting to see that teaser. One other model that got an early debut here in Japan was the Toyota Crown Sport. Unfortunately, it sounds like this one won't be coming to the US, but in Japan it'll be available with either a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid version, which also makes me sad this isn't going to be available because, I mean, the regular hybrid version is just the 2.5 liter hybrid we already see in the regular Crown, which is a fine powertrain, but nothing, you know, super amazing. But then they're also going to be offering a plug-in hybrid version paired up with the 2.5 liter engine as well. So it sounds like it's essentially the RAV4 Prime setup in something that's cooler, a little more low slung, a little sportier. I'm sad we're not getting this. I think this would be a really cool, I mean, I think priming all the things is, you know, a great idea, but, you know, bringing it over in a fun package like this, I think it's a really cool looking little crossover wagon, whatever you want to call it. And so, yeah, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that maybe Toyota will find a way to bring this here. I mean, it's crossover-ish. And so if they could justify the regular crown, I feel like they could more easily justify this one. But we'll have to wait and see. And anyway, seems promising. And I guess, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm really hoping they bring that here. Also, Nissan has another far-fetched concept they're showing off in Japan here as well. And so last week we saw the hyper-urban concept, which is another very far-out thing. This week's concept is called the hyper-adventure EV concept. And it's got, the rear gull-wing doors there, futuristic interior. But, I can't imagine much, if anything, from these concepts actually making it to production. It's all very, again, out there, far-fetched. It makes for cool show cars, I guess, to make everyone ooh and ah at the show. But, aside from that, I'm not really sure. And I feel like these are even too far out to even show design direction for future Nissans. So cool to look at, and I guess we'll see. There's, I think, a few more of these coming as well. Nissan's got a whole bunch of them for this show, so stay tuned for more from Nissan there. Moving on from Japan here, though, we have one big shocking story here this week for the Mopar crowd, and that is that spy photographers caught a camo TRX running around that sounded exactly like it has a 6-cylinder engine. I'm not able to show the spy pictures of the video because I have to pay to post those up, so I can't use that stuff, but I will link the video at the end of this video, so when you're done watching this, you can go watch that and listen to the sound. It sounds exactly like a 6-cylinder. And it's kind of funny that the person driving the truck tried to get away from the spy photographer, but if they would have just driven slowly, they might have actually kept their secret, but they tore off in the other direction, and it's great exhaust clip. Now we know exactly what's under the hood. So not a bright move by that driver. But anyway, so, this is almost certainly the Hurricane 6-cylinder, which does, around 500 horsepower in the Wagoneer. And, there's talks of it also going into the Ram here soon, the regular Ram. And so this is an interesting play because, Ram did say the TRX story isn't completely over, but the Hellcat version is going away. And this is just going to be a tricky one from a marketing standpoint because, all the years that Ram was bashing the Raptor for having a 6-cylinder, and now the Ram is doing it as well. I can't blame them, especially if they have to get rid of the V8. There's been plenty of people happy to buy a 6-cylinder Raptor all these years. And so, I'm assuming maybe Ram's hoping they can poach a few of those people. And if nothing else, still not lose all the work they put into making the TRX, as well as all the great off-road capability, just slower with this Hurricane version. And they might still also have some surprises up their sleeves. Maybe this will be the first debut of the Hurricane motor paired with a hybrid setup or a plug-in hybrid setup to still get you to 700 horsepower or something potentially. We'll have to wait and see how they end up playing it. They could also do 2 separate ones and maybe come out with this thing with just the Hurricane motor carried over. So you have a direct Raptor competitor, and then maybe at some later date have some type of electrification, so that you can actually do a Raptor R competitor. But I gotta say, Ford now has the upper hand and the shoe's on the other foot. Now Ford's the one that can be the only one with the V8 because, ironically enough, they embrace electrification first and earlier and, more widespread, so they're able to keep the gas guzzlers around because it evens itself out. Ram has no such luxury, and so they are paying the price now. So Ram played the short-lived game where they were awesome for a few years and then it all had to end. Ford played the long game, and in the tortoise and the hare, Ford being the tortoise, turns out they've won this race. And so, anyway, very interesting to see that they're going to keep their TRX going, though. And I'm happy it's a cool truck, and even if it's slower and not as good sounding, still, going to be a cool truck nonetheless. And so I'm happy to see it, but man, anyone who's got a V8 TRX, hold on to that thing for dear life, because those things are going to definitely always be valuable, always be sought after, especially if they're the last of their kind. So anyway, but very interesting to see that. And it was a big week for Kia as well. So Kia had their EV Day, their first annual one. They'll keep doing this every year, it seems. And so they revealed 2 new concepts in Korea here that closely hint at future production vehicles. So first up is the EV4 Concept, which is a cool-looking sedan with a liftback hatch, just like the old Stinger. I kind of wish they would have kept the Stinger name, but I know they have to do the letters and numbers now for whatever reason. But I think it looks pretty cool, even though it does seem like they were inspired by the new WX with the plastic cladding around the fenders. I'm not sure, after all the feedback that Subaru got very vocally on the internet about how horrible the plastic fenders were from myself and millions of other people, to then have Kia be like, you know what, we should copy that. don't understand that. There's a few head scratching things here from Kia in this whole reveal, so stay tuned for some more conundrums here. But anyway, aside from that, though, I think it's interesting looking. Some people are saying there's some Cadillac inspiration there to the headlights and taillights. It's definitely a little more bold and out there. Certainly not as good looking as a Stinger, in my opinion. But, I still think it has a lot of potential. Aside from one other caveat here, and that is that Kia says that although it'll be on the awesome eGMP platform, like everything else currently, it'll only be on a 400-volt electrical system, not the 800-volt system, meaning this car will have slower charging than the Kias that are already on lots. Also, by the way, not selling super hotly anymore, so... Like, you're making it less appealing from an electric car standpoint by doing that. Lower architecture is going to mean slower charging, much slower charging. I think Kia mentioned maybe around 150 kilowatts or over 150 kilowatts, but that's merely average these days. Hyundai and Kia, that was their big top selling point, is that they have 18-minute recharge times, super quick, super impressive, and only Porsche and Audi can really match them right now. And it was really mind-blowing and impressive. And then this is just like going backwards. I don't know why they think that, it just, because they even said, I don't think these things are going to be super cheap. They're all going to be well over $30,000 still. So it's not like if these were $20,000 or $25,000 EVs, okay, fine. But whenever these are going to be almost the same price as an EV6 anyway, what's the point of downgrading? It just is bizarre to me why they went for that. But anyway, I guess they have their reasons. We'll see. Kia's claiming, as far as this EV4, that it shifts the paradigm of sedan typology, whatever that means. So anyway, we'll see what the pricing is whenever this does come out, because it is going to lead to a production version, and it'll most likely look very close to this, which is very commendable. That Kia always builds stuff that looks very close to the concepts. That's awesome. I just wish that the underpinnings were a little better. But, we'll see how it shakes out for them. The other Kia concept here they debuted was the EV3. And so while it is a concept, Kia's head of global design said it's very close to the production car, and Kia hasn't decided on whether or not this one will come to the US or not. They didn't confirm any of these for the US, by the way, but this one seems pretty likely because it's, a crossover, a small crossover, pretty popular here in the States. And also Kia says that their goal is to hit 1 million annual EV sales by 2026. So they're not going to get there with just the EV6 and the EV9. You're going to have other stuff. And so, I think it makes sense to sell this here in the States. Anyway, it looks to be basically like an electric Seltos successor, maybe a little bit bigger, but it has some styling, from the EV5 and EV9 there. And it too has a simple and clean interior here with a sliding center console and a rear bench that flips up to reveal a flat floor for loading tall items. Unfortunately, it is also destined to get that 400-volt architecture, which, I don't know. I mean, maybe the feedback from people that buy Kona Electrics is like, yeah, this is fine, and they just figured they could get away with it and all this other stuff. But, like, I don't know. I mean, look at, that's a prime example. Look at a Kona Electric. Still not super cheap. And still just very underwhelming as far as charging and all that. And it's like, why not, if you're spending that kind of money anyway, spend $5-10 grand more, get way faster charging with, all the other stuff that they currently offer. It's just bizarre. But anyway, so we'll see how this competes whenever we're talking about an age where Chevy's going to have an Equinox EV here in just a few months that does, faster charging, that's going to be $30,000 and have basically about the same amount of space. I don't know, it's weird. Kia and Hyundai were like at the forefront of EV tech, and now it seems like they're just kind of, kind of getting off the throttle a little bit here and just letting everyone else, advance things, I guess, while they just actually go backwards. It's just crazy. But anyway, again, I'll reserve judgment until the production version comes here and we have more details and pricing and all that, which I'm assuming for this one will come sometime next year. We'll have to wait and see. But Kia had another head-scratching announcement here for their EV day. So they revealed more details about the EV5, which is the larger, like Kia Sportage-sized electric vehicle. And I mean, the Sportage is one of the top-selling vehicles from Kia, if not, I think maybe the best-selling from Kia. So, this should be a grand slam. Like, this will be the hottest segment, best, EV success scenario possible. And yet they just announced that they're not selling the EV5 here in the US. And it's strange because at the event, Kia said that it'll be sold in North America around the middle of 2025. And then Autoblog, though, they claim that the internal sources at Kia clarified that the US won't get it. So either Canada and or Mexico will get it, but we won't. And some people speculate this is because of, the tax credits and stuff if they can't build the EV5 here in the States. But, I mean, they're dealing with that with all the current stuff that's not built in the States that they're, just discounting to price them competitively. And, I mean, this could be, again, with the 400-volt architecture, I guess it's less compelling than the current stuff that's out there from Hyundai and Kia. But still, it's like, why not sell this in the States? There's lots of other EVs that aren't built in the States that still makes sense if you price them right and still sell. So I don't know, but the most American really thing aside from the EV9 is something that's not coming here. Anyway, so this one also, 400-volt system, by the way, for the EV5 too. Another disappointment with that. I don't get it. But anyway, as far as the EV5, we also have some more specs and details on it, since this is the production version of the EV5 we're looking at here. So it'll be offered with front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. The 214 horsepower front-wheel drive version is the base one. Same kind of powertrain I think you're going to get, again, in the Kona Electric and all that. And then there's roughly a 300 horsepower all-wheel drive version, but these specs are for international markets, so we could get something different here for the US or North America, whoever ends up getting this thing. In Korea, the battery is going to range from 58 kilowatt hours up to 81 kilowatt hours. They also confirmed a GT version is coming, which will most likely use the same stuff from the EV9 GT. Maybe turn down a little bit, we'll have to see. But that also sounds awesome and promising, and it's a shame if we don't get it here in the States either. And also have all the other same Kia tech that the other EVs have, with the highway drive assist and all that. And just have to wait and see if we can actually get excited about this here in the States, but it sounds like we might not have a chance to enjoy it here. So anyway, the last little bit of Kia news here is that they also confirmed that an EV2 subcompact is coming. That'll be starting around $30,000. Great news. But this one also may or may not come to the US. Again, no confirmation for this one either. They really said, their CEO said that this car will be very important for Europe and emerging markets, which sounds like it's going to be designed to be so small that Americans are probably turned off by it. So this one, I think, has the worst chance of coming out of all of them, even though, again, we need more $30,000 SUVs. But I guess, Chevy and everyone else would be more than happy to, build decent-sized stuff for $30,000 instead. And, so we'll see about that. But there's no other info for this EV2 yet. I'm not sure when we'll actually see it or, how fast that's coming. But I'm assuming maybe we'll hear more next year. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, very interesting to hear all that Kia news. And let me know what you think about the downgrade of the architecture in the comments below. For an actual production vehicle debut here, BMW has revealed the 2024 X2 this week. So it gets bigger and heavier for this new generation, now adopting a sloping roofline like the X4 and the X6. And that extra slope does take up space though, causing the car to become 7.6 inches longer now, along with being almost an inch wider and 2.5 inches taller. It's also differentiated a bit from the new X1, with this having a wheelbase over 2.5 inches longer than the X1, so should definitely be a better handler. There's an X-Drive 28i version and an M35i X-Drive version, and even that slower one still has a 2-liter turbo 4 that does 241 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, and surprisingly a low 6.2 seconds 0 to 60 time. The M35i bumps the power to 309 horsepower while still doing the same 295 pound-feet of torque, but that horsepower bumps enough to drop the 0 to 60 time by a full second, now to 5.2 seconds, and there's even a sport boost mode as well. Both versions get a 7-speed dual clutch and a limited slip diff as standard, and there's an adaptive suspension available as well. Inside, it gets the usual dual touchscreen layout here that we see in all BMWs now, and the rear seat passengers have an extra inch of knee room thanks to the increase in size as well. And it arrives in March of 2024, and surprisingly, we already have pricing as well, with the base one starting at $42,995, including destination, and the M35i version starting at $52,395. And there's also going to be an electric version available next summer. Again, this hasn't been confirmed for the US for this one in particular. I'm assuming it'll come here, but anyway, it's called the iX2. It uses the dual motors and the 64.8 kilowatt hour battery from the iX1 that combine for 313 horsepower and 364 pound-feet of torque when it's in its boost mode. And despite that extra power, though, this one is slower than the M35i version with a 5.6 seconds 0 to 60 time for this one. And on the easier European WLTP test cycle, it'll do between 259 and 272 miles of range, which means likely low to mid 200s here when and if the EPA actually tests it. Unfortunately, it only charges at 130 kilowatt charging as well, so it'll take 29 minutes to go from 10% to 80%. I don't know why no one's advancing the charge rates here this year. It's like everything is like the same slow charging. It's just a little underwhelming. But anyway, I haven't seen confirmation again about whether or not we're going to get this one here. We'll just have to wait and see. But anyway, as far as the gas versions, I think, a really promising little thing. I'm sure it'll be a pretty good seller. I feel like the price is pretty reasonable too for, what it is and the performance and all that. And so anyway, interesting to see that. But the last news story here this week is definitely a sad one, especially for me personally. This one definitely hurts to report on. So, Jaguar has revealed that the 2024 F-Type ZP edition is going to be the final send-off here for the F-Type, and they reminded us once again that 2024 is the last model year for the F-Type. They already announced this a year ago. This is not new news as far as that end date. But, last fall they announced a 75 edition that was supposed to be the send-off. I'm not sure if this is instead of the 75 edition or if that's a separate thing and they're doing both or what. Doesn't really matter, though, because they're both going to be pretty rare if they do, because this ZP edition, only 150 of this edition will be made. Hopefully they build more F-Types than just 150 for this final model year. I'm not sure, how they're turning them out, if they're doing a bunch of them or not. But anyway, the ZP name pays homage to the first race-winning E-Types that carried that name in the early 1960s. And the two color combos you see here are the only two ways you're able to get the ZP edition. These two colors, by the way, have never been offered on an F-Type before. You also have your choice of Cooper convertible, and they're based on the R version, meaning you get the 575 horsepower supercharged V8 for the last time, which I hate saying that sentence, the last time of this awesome supercharged Jaguar V8. One of my favorite motors of the past 10 years. You also get all the other R hardware, of course. There's also unique forged 20-inch wheels with ZP etched into them, along with ZP badges elsewhere, and a serial number plate on the inside there telling you that you have one of 150. And there's no pricing given for these, but of course they're expensive. They're going to be fully loaded F-Types, so you can do the math there on that. But last year when the F-Type death was announced, I was actually away on a trip in a hotel room doing the weekly update, so I wasn't able to give a toast to the F-Type. So I brought out the whiskey here. I have another bottle that I finished up the last one last time. So I have a new bottle here that I've been working on for several years, but this one's getting close to the end here. Some Weigel whiskey here, Pennsylvania wheat whiskey for those of you that are whiskey enthusiasts. So I'm going to toast to the F-Type here. One of my favorite cars of the past 10 years. I've been fortunate to be able to drive, several of them, but I think I am a little sad I was never able to actually own a new F-Type because they just seemed like they were just such amazing cars, and used Jags aren't the best ownership experience from what I've heard. So it's a bummer I've never been able to experience one trouble-free, but I'm still hoping that maybe someday I can find a way to get an F-Type someday and enjoy that awesome supercharged V8, or even the supercharged V6 was amazing with the roof off and all the rear-wheel drive antics. Definitely, if you haven't seen my F-Type reviews, go watch them. It's me in automotive driving bliss, just having a blast. They're such amazing cars. And also, to pour salt into the wound here, Jaguar has said that they confirmed, it's something, again, we already knew, but this is the last gas-powered Jaguar car that they'll ever make, and last sports car they'll make. At least as far as gas sports cars go. So, just the history of Jaguar. I know these days it's not as bright of a brand as it used to be, but epic sports cars, epic racing history, and right up to the end here with the F-Type being epic, awesome cars, and it's another end of an era, and a really sad one that has just, been so great to see this renaissance of Jaguar in the past 10 years, and, we'll see. Now they're going to try and reinvent themselves as some kind of Bentley competitor, and I don't think that'll go well for them, but we'll see. I wish them all the best, but it's really, really sad to see the F-Type and Jaguar as we know it going away here. So anyway, cheers to the F-Type. I never wanted to cheers to this car. I'm so sad to see it go, but here we are, and so cheers to the F-Type. But lastly, I want to thank all of you that are members of the Maran Motoring Club. So we did have several new members join this past week. And so I first wanted to give a huge thank you to Caleb M for joining and becoming a member during the live stream this past week. I really appreciate you signing up, Caleb, and I hope you're enjoying the membership perks. I also want to give a huge thanks to Kyle, Adam, and Fook M for gifting memberships during the live stream as well. So thank you so much, all three of you, for your generosity. I'm sure everyone really appreciates it. I really appreciate it, of course, as well. And it's just great to see the community growing, and it's just so great to see everyone being generous with everyone, and just it's awesome. I love the vibe we have in the live streams. It's so great, and I absolutely love doing those and looking forward to them every single week. So thanks to all of you for your generosity. And I also want to give a big welcome to the 3 new members that were able to join. Lots of people did rejoin with those gifts, but we did have 3 new members join as well. So I want to give a big welcome here to Trenton Johnson, Dean, and Jordan. So again, I hope you're all enjoying the perks here so far. I hope everyone's enjoying the perks and the live streams and everything else. And so anyway, for anyone else who would like to join, get that priority answering in the live stream, as well as all the other member perks of getting a heads up on what's coming video wise, and some occasional outtakes videos and other fun stuff. There's always join buttons here on the video page, on the channel page, and also links in the description. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Please also leave a like and subscribe to keep these videos coming, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, and cheers to that F-Type.